what's going on, dudes and dudettes? Thank you so much for tuning in here at the Nori Athletics Lifestyle Podcast, where we talk about health and fitness, current events, and the fun things that we do on our spare time. We are your hosts, Novet Chua and Michelle Petrovich, and in this episode number 4, we talk about how we got into business, why we started it, the struggles that we went through, and the things we learned. So I hope you guys stay tuned, get to know us, and enjoy. All right, so welcome to episode number 4 of our Nori Nori Athletics Lifestyle podcast. Today we're gonna talk about just a bunch of things, but we mainly want to go over why we have our own business, why we started it.
Yeah, just so we can connect to some business owners out there as well and make them realize that just because we're health and fitness people, that we also have our business struggles, and that it's just as difficult for us to develop things, and that we struggled also through health and fitness when we were running our business. So we'll talk a bit about that as well. But let's, I guess, go into like what led us to have our own business.
So for me, to be honest, is just I had goals and dreams. So I wanted to become a trainer just so I can get some experience. And I felt that I found that. However, I felt like I went through the wrong experience. And I kind of have to relearn a lot of things when I started this business. But the goal was just to be free, not work for anyone, have my own schedule, create the amount of money I wanted, where it's not capped. Ultimately, just to be free and help other people do the same thing, except in their bodies first. Because that's where it all started for me. It's just being able to be comfortable in my own skin, which led to like self-development, which led to business.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I think for you it was like a lot of it was to be free.
Yes.
You didn't want someone to tell you what to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, the moment I feel like someone's doing that, imprisoning me, making me do something I don't want to do, that's when I start getting kind of aggressive. And I don't know.
I actually don't think you were aggressive at all. I remember you more so just being like, you just go into yourself more.
What do you mean by go into myself more?
Like you want your own space, or I don't know, but you're more, not to say hide, but you just go into yourself. You like,
yeah,
how do I explain
only
it?
because like
that's like your way of dealing with it.
I can control a lot of things on my own, right? I can control, like, there's no like schedule or restrictions. That's why I have a hard time being in some sort of relationship, or like I bounce from like one group of friends to another, because there are certain things that they don't do that I want to do. So it's not really hard for me to kind of like choose my friends, so to say. It all derives from freedom, or it all goes to freedom.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why I also wanted to have my own business was, also freedom. Like, being able to make your own decisions and being able to build something from scratch the way you visualize it to be, as opposed to like it already being there and you having to adjust to it.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout me growing up, I've always had to adjust, like, be it at school or be it at work, you're always adjusting to these rules and circumstances, and I wanted to create my own because I felt like I was full of ideas that I needed to share.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if it wasn't for personal training, I wouldn't really have that in me, or it wouldn't come out as soon as it did. Like, if I was to pursue school and just working like this, I don't think I would find that I do have the personality and I do have the mindset of a business owner. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, it would probably be like later on, maybe like I wouldn't start until now kind of thing, or maybe like 5 years down the line I'd be like, oh shit, I want to do this now, like kind of thing.
Yeah, because the thing with school, I have nothing against school. It's just that, like, if there's something you're pursuing, or like, let's give the example of me, like, I don't want to go to. I don't want someone to teach me something that that person has never done or never experienced. That to me is ludicrous. Like, why not go find someone that has what you want and has been through where you are, because that's the quickest way, because they've gone through all the aches and pains, the mistakes. Because, like, if you go to school, you finish school, you still have to go through the experience. You just know things by the book.
Yeah.
There's really no experience in there.
Yeah.
Just a lot of theory.
Yeah, a lot of theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hasn't been yet applied, or that you maybe don't even know how to apply. Because I remember that when I was doing business in school, and the stuff that I learned there, I would have not ever applied had I not been forced to apply it now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I actually learned more through Google than through school.
That's funny.
And YouTube videos and all that, and just like watching other people and how they do it and trying to replicate it. Because you have to replicate initially,
Yes.
right? You replicate and you practice, and then you change it into your own thing.
Exactly.
So that was one of the reasons why. And I always had this like inkling of being able to reach out globally and, like, you know, spread help to other people. And I felt like if I'm working for someone or a company, I can't really do that. Like, you can help people, of course, and I'm sure there's people, you know, that work for the government. They're still helping people in some shape or form, but I want it to be more direct.
Yeah, it's not bad to work for someone or work for a company. It's just that there's some restrictions. Unless you find a company or someone to follow that has the same core values, that has the same mindset, and you're just very like-minded. If you guys hear tapping, that's Nori barking in the background. Yeah, that's Michelle's dog, and we named Nori after a company.
Yeah.
No, wait, is it the other way around? We
named our company after Nori, which we'll explain later. Yeah.
What was I saying? I totally forgot.
But working for a company.
Oh yeah. Being like-minded with the people in there, or what the company values and stands for. Right, so that's super, super important. Like, if you can find that, then that's perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, owning a business isn't for everyone.
Yes.
Right? It's not. It's a lot of work, and people underestimate that, and I know I underestimated that initially, but I just couldn't, and to this day, it's even stronger now. I can't stand being capped by ideas or by, like, by money either. So I wanted to have the ability to grow my income. I wanted to have the ability to grow my ideas and grow my business, because maybe, and I know for a fact that this isn't going to be the only business that we have in the future. We're going to have more.
Yes.
And when you work for a company, you're kind of capped in that one role, right? Or you work your way up, but you're still just one role. You're not multiple roles, you know? Like, you work your way up from, like, a manager to an executive to then a CFO or whatever, and, like, you know, like a vice president and whatnot, right? But that's still just one name for you, and I didn't want to be capped at having one label.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, knowing that there's so much in the world and I see so much abundance, it's prevented me from going back to, like, working a job. But I know that social media made entrepreneurship look so much easier.
Yeah, and they turned it to,
because I was following the wrong people initially.
Yeah, it almost became a trend. Like, I would see, like, people's Instagram
bios,
handles and bios. Like, it would say they're
an entrepreneur.
Yeah, they're what do you call it?
A serial entrepreneur.
Their career or their identity is entrepreneur, but that's, like, so generalized.
Yeah, like, what does that mean?
Like, what does that mean? Are you a
coach? Are you I don't know, like, a product or a service? Like yeah. You can't just say you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that have put entrepreneur on their statuses, but have never started a business or just haven't taken the first step or just doesn't know anything. They just kind of, I guess they decided on that point. I mean, it's good to like be inspired and decide like, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, but you have to know what you're getting into.
Yeah. And you have to act. Like,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is a lot of acting.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
you can't just sit and wait.
Yeah, it also has to be like your decision. Like you have to really think like, is it really me, or is it just like an idea that I got from someone that I thought was cool, and I want to be cool, so I'm gonna put entrepreneur. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, you know.
But was that slightly you when you first started?
No, I was never
Like, not entrepreneur, but like owning a business.
owning a bit. No, I never saw it as a status. I always saw it as like a way to be free. That's how I saw it. It's like, okay,
Because you wanted to travel and like...
yeah, I wanted to travel. I wanted to create things. I wanted to do everything my way. It always goes back to freedom for me.
Yeah.
But what?
Yeah. But like... But then what are some of the things that started to surface to you that you didn't initially see?
How much sales is into it, a lot of marketing,
long hours. Like, to me, that was another thing. I was expecting, like, oh, you have your own business, you know, like now I can make my own schedule, which you can. Yes, you can make your own schedule. You know, I'm not working the 9 to 5, but in fact you're working a 9 to 9.
Yeah.
So it's not any easier.
Well, at least your head is working 9 to 9. Even if you're like sitting down not doing anything, your head is still like wrapped around what you're building.
Yeah.
And plus the stress on like, where is the money coming from, and it's just all these things.
Clients, like, how are we growing this? Where is the business going? Is it moving? Is it like scaling at all?
The terminology, when someone said ROI before, I'm like, wait, what the hell is an ROI? It's like,
yeah,
that's return on investment, by the way.
So that's one of the things I didn't see, was the amount of time that I would have to put in. I was expecting, like, you know, after a few months, you work hard, you can travel, you can do your business wherever you are.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, we already have the clientele, you know, we're gonna get money, we're gonna be free, it's gonna be easy. Well,
you were planning on traveling and
actually,
working.
no, I didn't think it was gonna be easy. I knew it was gonna be hard, but I didn't know it was gonna be like super hard. Like it's super hard. Like, you know, when you expect something, oh, it's gonna be challenging, but it's actually like 100 times more challenging than you think it is. It's like, whoa, I did not, like, what the heck? And it makes you think, like, along the way as you're doing, you're like, oh, why am I even doing this? Like, should I quit? Like, but I committed. Like,
yeah, and that's the other thing, is that you get so used to someone telling you what to do, right? Teachers, bosses. You are your own boss here, so there's so much discipline required, so many habitual things that you have to build that you don't have when you have your own business. And I think one of the things that I'm thankful for, though, is that I built a lot of my habits through school.
yeah.
Like getting up, doing work, not playing games, or, you know, relaxing until my work is done. And
There's
I've
nothing
always
wrong
had
with playing games.
No, until work is done.
I'm just joking.
Right? So, like,
I play a lot of video games.
I think that mentality has always been in my head. And so that's why, like, when I wake up, I know I have to work, and not until I finish work or I feel satisfied do I go and, like, play stuff.
Yes.
Do I get distracted? Yes. Because, again, we don't have bosses here to tell us and walk behind our back and be like, what are you doing on social media? You know? And half our job is part of our job. A quarter of our job is going through social media and using social media, creating content. So distractions happen. Then the fact that you have to be creative, artistic, you have to take risks. Business is a lot of risks, and that's like not something that I was thinking about. I was like, oh, the only risk I had to take is initially starting.
Yeah.
And saying I quit at my job.
We didn't have a lot of capital, which is like money to start this business. We kind of were just like, okay, we're going to start it. We don't really know how, but we're just going to take it step by step. But it was good. That's actually something I'm proud of. Like, in terms of us starting, is like we didn't need, I mean, we had money saved, but we didn't ask for a loan. We didn't like, we weren't like, oh, we need this much or we need this to start it. We kind of just like, we did a little research and then we just went into it. Like, the research was pretty much like the license, insurance, a place to run the business, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. But I think one of the mistakes that we did make was that we quit having any type of jobs. So a lot of stress came from having to build our financial security on just one thing that wasn't stable yet. And I think like that's the one piece of advice that I would give myself going back, like
Yeah.
to my past self. I'd be like, no, like still have any type of job, like just even the job, excuse me, or whatever it is. Because I think that would alleviate a lot of stress and leave our minds to be more creative.
Yeah.
But another thing too is that I realized how much, in order for your business to grow, you have to work on yourself.
Yeah. You need a set of skills for sure.
Skills and even just like mental strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's a lot of pain, a lot of like working when your brain is fried. It's a lot of, when you feel no energy, you get out of bed and you don't want to do anything, you still have to force yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you can call in sick. This is your business. It's your baby.
Yeah. You can't call yourself and be like, hey, I can't come. Can you imagine for all those bipolar business owners, like?
Yeah, and it's crazy though. Is that like, like you said, there's times where you felt like you want to quit, and there's times when, like, even even myself, I want to say is that like there's times when I would get out of bed and I really didn't want to do anything, but even though I didn't want to do anything, I still did something.
Yeah.
Which is crazy now that I think about it, because when I would be working at a job, I know that I would slack a lot. And for this one, I just can't see myself slacking. Like, I know I just have to do something.
Yeah. No, that's the same with me. Even those days that I don't feel like doing it, most of me don't want to do anything. But there's a small part of me where, like, you should just do at least a little bit of something.
Mm-hmm.
And that little bit of something can grow into something by doing a lot. You can grow into doing a lot, which I find in myself. And then from that, I kind of learned a lot of things, like the 80-20 rule, where it's like 20%. If you're able to do that 20%, that will give you that 80% of the results, then that's like something magical. So sorry, I'm not explaining this properly. So what it is, it's like every day you have like a certain amount of willpower, right? And you got to ask yourself, like, what is that 20% that you can do that will give you the 80% of the results? So let's give fitness as an example. If you're maybe that 20% of being able, maybe you can get that 80% of results from nutrition and fitness by maybe in the morning eat like a healthy snack, like, or a healthy breakfast. And this will in turn create like a better day.
Better
like,
actions,
better
choices
actions,
throughout the day.
So 80% of your day will become healthy, versus like if you make that 20% unhealthy, then 80% of your day will be like shit. It'll be like you'll be unhealthy.
Yeah. It's a lot of habits too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that the one piece of advice I have for anyone who is thinking of doing a business is don't get infatuated by the idea of working where you travel, like being a nomad type of thing. Yeah. It takes a lot to get to that point.
Yes.
And I think everyone has this idea of like reaching through the whole world, but the one place that you have to start is actually reaching locally.
Yeah.
And when you grow locally, then you can start to expand, but you can't skip those like first steps.
Yeah.
Like without the locals knowing you, how will the world know you?
We actually experienced, if anyone here listening ever seen like a picture or a Google picture of a person that owns his business and he has his laptop on the beach, it looks nice and all. We actually experienced that, but it was not a good experience. We brought our business to one of our vacations, and it was a nightmare. We don't want to work. Like, we don't want to take our laptops on the beach. It's like,
yeah.
Like if we want to relax, we just want to relax, right?
Yeah. I think it was mostly a nightmare though, because we didn't have a system in place.
I guess
like
so,
we didn't know what we had to do while we're on a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, we're always going to have a business now, right? So next time we travel, we just have to be very well planned out and have a routine, actually, even on a vacation, of what we're going to do. And like, yes, we're going to relax, but like, if we're going to check emails or whatever, is it going to be on this date or that day? We let our clients know this and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that we aren't all over the place. Because I feel like we were very all over the place, and that's why we were stressed. And just, being very secure before going on another vacation.
No,
I
that's
think
true.
That's like very important.
That is true. Very, very true.
Are there any other things that you feel like you were struggling with?
Just trying to find the right routine, and then developing the right habits, and even the skills. Like I'm still having trouble till this day.
Yeah, like sales maybe.
Yeah, sales is like it's huge.
Getting on the phone is huge for him.
I mean, like it's weird because like I love health and fitness, but it's so hard for me to sell it, only because like when I started my own journey, like I did most of the things on my own. Like I did my own research, and I don't know, it felt natural to me. Like I had my struggles, but it felt natural for me to like just do my research and figure out things on my own. And then when I became a personal trainer, that's in my head. I'm like, oh, everybody knows this. Like, why do they need a trainer? At the back of my head, right? And I remember I was training this one person, and so I thought at like 135 pound. I thought everybody can do a deadlift with 135 pounds, which is like a plate on each side. So I thought that was like everyone's standard. And when I was training this person, I told him like, hey, pick that up. All right. And then the person tried but failed. And I was like, wait, what's happening here? And then the person couldn't pick it up, and it just blew my mind. So there was a lot of things I needed to learn, especially starting that day.
Yeah, I think you had to face a lot of like, when you're running a business, you go through a lot of self-beliefs, and you find which are limiting you and which are serving you well, and you have to look through those, analyze those, and change those over time, because you can't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm good at doing this or I'm good at doing that just because I say so.
Yeah.
You have to like rewire your mind from the beginning, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And I think that for you, one of the things I remember you were struggling with is just like being passionate, and you were like, for a few months you were really, really down and upset because you felt like you couldn't find out what you were passionate about.
Yeah.
And like your strong reason why. But I think what's important to remember is that like, we're serving people, we're helping people, and come to think of it, you go to help for things, even though you can do it, you still outsource.
Yeah.
Because it'll be faster if you outsource. So when our clients do that for us, they're just finding a way to make it faster and easier for them. So they're outsourcing us and our education.
Yeah.
Allowing them to teach them in a quicker and more effective way. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think passion was something that you struggled with for a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning. I remember you were upset with that.
I was like losing my own fitness and health, because I was like, oh, it's like, it's okay, I can back off mine for a little bit and then help them with theirs, and I can just bounce back. It'll be easy. Those were my thoughts, right? But it was hard to bounce back. Like once I got it back, but once like if I lose it again, it's gonna motivate me. I'm like I can't be passionate in what I'm doing if I'm not practicing what I preach, right?
Yeah, that was hurting you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think is something that, like, wins you've had, or like something positive about having a business and starting this business?
Oh man, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot of like biohacking stuff, things like boosting your immune system with cold showers, or not touching the phone in the morning to create a more productive day. What else? Conquering your Monday so you can conquer your week, conquering your morning so you can conquer your day. Like all these little hacks. a lot of the things that I learned has to do a lot with productivity, how to be more productive in a healthy manner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think what I've learned is how to just stay strong
Mm-hmm.
and not give up. I think if it weren't for the business, like this is what I mentioned the bubble tea part, is that if it weren't for this business, I would have given up on making bubble tea, for example.
Yeah.
Right? So like the business has built me a lot of mental strength. It's also showed me like my weaknesses, but then that's helped me change some of those weaknesses and practice it.
Yeah.
And it's really opened my eyes to many things. Um, it's put in a lot of habits to practice my mental strength. It's it's a lot of growth, right? It's forced on you. You have to grow because if you're not growing, your business won't grow.
Yeah.
So that's a huge win. And I think just knowing now that I'm capable of doing this is another huge win. I think it was like super important for me to accept and understand that I'm capable, that I'm a person that's capable, that I'm like a powerful person or like influential person and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also, I think what's really cool is that we just have the ability to create so many things. That's been like really amazing. I've always wanted to create stuff, and now we have that freedom to create and share what we create with others and influence others through our creations.
Yeah.
And it's literally just in our mind.
Yeah.
And we have the power, which is it's just so cool because we have the power to positively influence people and for people to for people to listen to us. Isn't that like amazing? Like you actually have that ability.
Yeah, like this podcast right now, I used to think like, oh, to start a podcast you need like these mics, you need all these equipment, you need a studio, you need a lot of things, right? But not really. If you really want something, you'll find a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think owning a business, like other wins, is just like we've had a lot of success, like with our clients and seeing our community slowly grow. Those are all huge wins. And you try things, you fail, you try other things, you find something that works. So a lot of trial and error and understanding that all of life is like that.
Yes.
It's also strengthened our relationship because I'm sure not a lot of people can have a relationship and work together at the same time.
Oh, it was definitely been hard. Like you learned a lot
About each other.
about it. Yeah. Yourself mostly, but also like how do you juggle a relationship while at the same time starting a business? It's hard. I know this one guy, he was going through like something happened to him. He was like he had a bunch of injuries, shoulder, knee, but he was almost like, what is it when you have to stay in bedridden or something like that?
Like disabled, like
Well,
handicapped?
let's say almost disabled, and he was starting a business while doing that, and he was able to like he went through a lot of trial and errors, obviously, and when he started to like heal his body, he like broke it again somehow, but he didn't give up, and eventually, like after maybe a couple of years, that he was able to fix his body and create success in his business. That's another thing I wanted to like mention is that like the way someone does one thing is usually the way they do other things.
Mm-hmm. That is true, yeah. So you have to pay attention to the stuff that you're doing too because it'll carry on into your other actions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the last thing I think that was a huge win is just realizing and coming to an understanding that pain is at the times of growth. That pain isn't just meant to hurt you, but pain is meant to be there to signal to you or show you that you are growing.
Yeah, as a lesson. You have to learn from these pains, and eventually like when you see that you're going through pain and you know that it's going to give you a reward, or it tells you that you're on the right path, and you kind of welcome it. That's kind of how I got into weightlifting / bodybuilding, where like if I could feel the burn of the exercise and I can feel like, let's say bench press for example, like I can feel my chest getting filled with blood and it starts to burn, and I actually welcome it during that time because I knew it made me feel powerful. I knew it was going to help me grow, help you get into a better shape. Yeah, eventually you start to welcome the pain.
Yeah, and not necessarily stay there,
Yeah.
right? But you know that it's a signal that you have to like grow,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, yes, there's a lot of pains in growing a business, but I think now we understand that whenever we are going through pain, if we're going through hardship, that it's not like the end of the world, that this is just signaling that we have to change something.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is pretty amazing.
Exactly.
Because that can go through other areas of life, not just business. So, like, this weekend, we did quite a bit of cool stuff. And then one of the things that I found really cool was that we actually got to go through our values, like our own personal values. And then we also did our business values. But it was cool when we were doing our own personal values that we found out that we actually have two values that we have alike.
Yeah.
And they're in the top. And the first value was freedom. And the second value was creation. And we both had freedom as number one and creation as number two. And I think that was just so interesting.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're in a relationship and we get along and all that, it's probably because we have
similar values.
a similar value. Yeah.
That's right. What's happening? Oh. All right. I'm sorry. We were rolling the camera. It kind of turned off on us. Because last time we did this, it just shut off for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, that's the laundry. Now you guys know where we're doing our podcast. Okay. So yeah, we have very similar values. That was my mouth making farts. Getting distracted with all these things around. It's okay.
Yes.
I don't know what else to say.
But yeah, so we did the values, and I thought that was really cool because, it's important to know your values because everything you do, the actions you take should be centered around your values because that's how you're going to be in alignment and you're actually going to always be energized instead of the opposite, which is feeling unenergized and, feeling tired all the time and just out of tune.
Yeah.
Right? And then another thing that we did was we made katsu chicken this weekend.
Yeah. I want to kind of go back to, before we go into the katsu story, about values. In order for you to reach a certain goal, because we all do things based on our values, like what we really value the most, what is important in our lives. And I kind of just noticed this about like health and fitness. Like I always valued my health, even as a kid. Like I was always conscious, but I never knew how. So as I grew up, I was kind of figuring out these things. And I know even though there are days there are moments where I'm not healthy, I'm not my healthiest, I always go back to being healthy without being forced to. I'm always being pulled. So I know that is something like that is a value. Yeah, that is a big value of mine. It's just being healthy, not just physically, but like mentally, and then internally. And when I say internally, I'm meaning like gut health, right? It's you can look healthy on the outside, but on the inside you may be broken.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's also why you're educating people on health, is because that's a value.
Yeah.
And you want those around you, your friends, and the people around you to also be healthy.
Yeah.
Because when you value something a lot, you want others to feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like a really cool thing. It's a good thing you mentioned there.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into that katsu story. What about the katsu, Michelle?
Oh, it was, it was really tasty.
It was bomb.com.
So we just did like a regular chicken breast katsu, with the batter on the outside, panko crumbs. It was so good. We did it with rice, and then we did it with a curry. We made a curry, and then we had the cabbage that was all nicely grated, I guess you could say. Shredded. Yes, shredded.
It was shredded.
Yes. So it felt like we were in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And even the way we served it was very fancy. I was like,
yeah, that's something I never really noticed, where presentation has a lot to do with making food more appetizing and tasty.
Yeah. It was just that much more tastier, I think, because we put in effort into like presenting it nicely.
Yeah, like I shaped the rice by putting it in like a small bowl and then putting it on the plate so it has that nice round shape.
And then we stacked the cabbage nicely, and then I put curry on half the plate.
Yeah.
And then I made sure to like stack or like put the chicken in a nice like row.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
it looks very nice and presentable. But we struggled a little bit initially with the chicken, is that we like put it on too high of a heat when we were frying, because we never fry food.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we were frying food, and the outside was getting dark already, but the inside was still not cooked. But now we know.
Yeah.
I think we want to try it this weekend too, because we want to just master it.
Yeah, it was like these are like cool things. Like I know we're like trainers and everything, and yes, we eat these types of foods. And a couple of reasons why we're mentioning this is because you can still have fun with your life, make food fun. You have to build a better relationship with food, and one of the ways you can do that is by making your food more presentable.
Yeah.
Making it look appetizing, and because most people that are struggling have this idea of healthy food being not tasty,
just bland.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could have it bland, but why would you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the taco bowls I used to make when I was on prep.
I think so, yeah. I do
And
remember.
it was the burrito bowls. So it was like the Chipotle bowls, but I made that myself. And I did it without rice, and instead of sour cream, I used like Greek yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt. Do you remember that? There was like
I do remember
ground turkey. I think I used. There was a bed of like salad, and then there was I cut up tomato, and I used a little bit of corn, and peppers and onions that I like sautéed.
That's so weird. She put peppers. She doesn't usually put peppers in there.
I was prep. I was eating everything I could.
The weirdest thing, if you go, what she means by prep, that means she's doing like a bodybuilding competition, and that's kind of like the type of food that she would eat. And
I was eating eggs twice a day.
Yeah, and then she doesn't usually eat
I don't
eggs.
eat eggs.
She eats things that she doesn't usually eat, but that's at a more extreme situation because competing is pretty extreme.
Yeah, and we can talk about that another time, I guess, too. We should probably note that somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a really good weekend though. We were productive even on our weekend, but we were still doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then this weekend we're gonna do a visualization practice for our
relationship.
Yeah. So and then compare our notes.
Yeah, that's super important too.
I think one of the things that we've been struggling is just prioritizing our relationship.
Yeah.
Because we are very good at prioritizing our business now and even making time for our family and stuff, but we don't.
Even our health is like getting better.
Yeah, but the one thing that we neglect is our relationship. So we're around each other all the time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing anything to improve our relationship. It's just staying stagnant. And I think that, like everything else in life, if you're moving forward, that has to move forward as well.
There's different parts in your life. I believe, like for me, it's obviously like your health, your finances, which is like your career, your business, whatever it may be, your relationship. What's the other thing? Health, finances, relationship. I guess spirituality.
Personal, or just personal.
Yeah.
Like your mindset type of thing. So your spirituality, your spiritual work, right? Whether you believe in God or you don't necessarily believe in anything but the universe. Mm-hmm. Just doing practices that are good for your mind, for your mental health. Yeah. Right? So those are, like, usually when we make goals, it's those 4 or 5. Yeah. Usually 5 brackets, but I can't think of the other one.
Usually 4 or 5.
It's like relationships, self, finance, health.
And personal growth. Some people put personal growth.
Yeah, but then self is kind of... So, 4 or 5. You can't really...
Yeah. There's many now.
Know.
There's a lot. I get confused.
Yeah.
Every time I rewrite goals, I find someone else's way of rewriting goals, and I'm like, oh, this is new.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's really it of the episode, I guess, today.
Yeah.
Unless there's something else you wanted to mention.
No, I think I'm going to leave them hanging and then wait till next time. Next time we're going to go through our, the visualization of our relationship.
Yeah.
And, we were supposed to go through more nutrition and sleep and recovery today, but I think we can save that for the next podcast.
Yes. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today and listening to episode number 4. Please be sure to give us a rating down below. Leave us comments, ask us questions, let us know any other topics you guys would like to see. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you get notified every time we post a new video up. But thank you guys so much, and we'll chat soon.
Later.